Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to This or That Part 2. This is the second time that we are going to play This or That. The first time we played it when I introduced the series, it seemed to resonate with people. I think there were more than 50 people that chose to answer the question of this or that, and I took that as a good sign that there was some interest. And so I decided to do it again. And we're going to do it slightly differently than the first time around. With this one, there is no meaning behind what we're going to look at. We're just going to have some fun. But what I'm doing is taking a page from some fashion magazines that I happened to see in the past. We're not going to ask ourselves why I was looking at fashion magazines. We are just going to accept it and move on. So, when I looked at these magazines, what I found was that in many of them, they had a question of who wore it better. And if you haven't seen it, essentially what they do is to compare two celebrities who happen to wear the same outfit, sometimes with some minor modifications or alterations, but it's basically the same outfit. So we're going to do that here. But instead of an outfit, we're going to look at uniforms, specifically the uniforms of some classic characters that for some reason or another have gone away and been replaced by other characters. And in both cases, both the classic character and the replacement character have solid fan bases that absolutely love them for one reason or another. Sometimes it's personality, sometimes it's nostalgia, sometimes it's, my favorite story arc involved this version of that particular character. And so it's not so much who wore it better, so much as it is which character do you prefer. And in fact, when we play the game, when we score it, what I'm going to ask you to do is to indicate the round and the A or B that you prefer. And if you choose to, you can also put in your rationale for why you're making that selection of either A or B for round one, for example. And you might say, purely nostalgia. I grew up with this character, this is my favorite character. Or you could say, I prefer B because, B was involved in my favorite story arc. Whatever the rationale is, if you choose to insert that, by all means do so, but at a minimum, indicate the round and your preference of either A or B. And the hope is that you don't choose both, right? But you pick one or the other. And so my hope is that you guys will find this version of This or That as fun as the first time around. And who knows, for version 3, we may do something completely different. Many of you have given me some wonderful ideas of how I can do the game. And so my idea, or my goal, I should say, is to keep it fresh by mixing it up so it's not the same thing every time, even though it's under the umbrella of This or That. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get to the game. On the left, Alan Scott, and on the right, we have Hal Jordan in a showdown of the Green Lanterns. On the left, we have Spider-Man in the classic black costume, and on the right, Venom, also in the black costume. Barbara Gordon as Batgirl faces off against Cassandra Cain on the right. On the left, Mar-Vell as Captain Marvel, facing off against Carol Danvers, who became Captain Marvel. On the left, Dick Grayson, aka Robin, facing off against Tim Drake on the right. And lastly, we have the Flash, Barry Allen, facing off against Wally West, also known as the Flash. So there you have it. This is the second round of This or That. My hope is that you guys had fun with this. If you haven't, for whatever reason, watched the first episode of This or That, you may want to go back and check that out, but you definitely want to stay tuned because we are going to be doing this again. As always, I want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you enjoyed it.